The Morning Dump
from Hurrdat Sports
with Andrew Rogers and Damon Benning.
Well, do you have the Hulu, ESPN Plus, Disney Plus?
So Hulu was the OG.
Uh-huh.
No, actually PlayStation was. Then PlayStation wasn't around long enough because at that time PlayStation had Red Zone.
Sure did.
So I was like, okay, well, let me back way the heck up. It took me 2 years to be talked into streaming. Because I'm one of those guys that is as you're really figuring out, a creature of habit.
You? No.
Not
you.
You're probably traumatized by the whole Mio story. But so it took a while, and I have a lot of followers on Twitter that kept telling me, hey, try streaming. I'm like, no, I don't know enough
So
about
you were just a cable guy through and through?
I was a DirecTV guy.
Okay.
I was paying about roughly $269 a month for DirecTV. And
is that every channel?
Pretty much.
Okay.
Like, I think I had like 3 tiers. I can't even remember how they used to do it.
I can't even imagine dropping that much money on TV a month.
So I came home one day, and it was like, yep, this is what we're doing. We're going to free trial PlayStation. So the whole time that I was trying to be talked into it, I was afraid that there was going to be too much delay. I tweet real time, especially during games.
Streaming stinks. So
what ultimately ended up happening was we upped the bandwidth and the pings. Is it BPS or BSPs? Whatever happens for Wi-Fi, and I'm pretty close. So it's about 6 seconds.
So you just, instead of resorting to, we're going to watch it live, pay $280 whatever much.
And by live, I mean like off, not 30 seconds.
Right, exactly.
So it's still pretty live because it's happening real time.
But I know what you're saying because, especially in our industry, you have to tweet real time.
Yeah, totally.
You can't be 30 seconds late to the party because you're going to hop onto Twitter. Somebody else is going to be watching it live.
100%.
And then now you're mirroring a tweet, but you're seeing it at this time, even though it actually happened at this time. And it's kind of a double-edged sword, though.
100%.
It really is. Now, streaming's good. I really do like streaming because it's up with the times.
So Hulu was the OG that wasn't a free trial. So then I learned – so Severe was basically the guy that taught me how to navigate the streaming providers, suspending accounts, moving on to the next thing, coming back to capitalizing on what's offered during the sporting season, stuff like that. And I've got a guy on Twitter.
He's a savant when it comes to streaming.
Well, and it was just because I could see him every day, so I trusted him, right? But I have another guy. This is the thing about me. I got a guy. I always got a guy.
You do always have a guy.
Because 90% of the public knows more than me. And so
that's why I'm a sharp better.
So if I don't know something, I'm going to ask, right? Like, because I'm always trying to learn. So my buddy Josh is on Twitter. And I didn't really take him seriously at first because I'd never met him. And he started out super sarcastic. Like, I didn't know if I was going to like him. He's kind of snarky, and, he would have kind of like these sports barbs that were almost always anti-DB. Not to go third person, sorry about that. Anti kind of what I was thinking.
Anti-me?
So this goes way back. We're talking years. So funny story, I met him real life because our kids played against each other. And I really liked his son. I was like, oh, shoot, man, this kid's a pretty good player. And he's like, yeah, that's my son. I was like, no way. So then we kind of hit it off. So
because he was being genuine for the first time in your lifetime.
Yeah, so once I met him in real life, I knew, he wasn't just messing with me. So that, got us over the hump. So then I asked him, 2,000 questions. And he totally coached me up on how to do it, what to get hooked up with, how to do the Wi-Fi. Yeah. And so,
I'm pretty tech savvy, so
I am not.
You found another person.
And, okay, and you live close to me, too. So sometimes I'll just say, hey, can you come by?
Yeah.
I'll
dust your son in basketball before I get into your house.
Which one? You going to get Caleb or Micah?
I got to get the shorter one, so whoever's shorter.
Micah thinks he could Micah would play against.
He would run through a wall for anybody.
Micah would play against Kareem. if he felt like Kareem would play him because he'd find a way to win.
Tell you what. We'll set up a time where we shoot a TikTok. He's huge on TikTok.
I'm telling you, he's legit.
He is.
For a 12-year-old.
I'm ready to get dusted on your
tough.
driveway.
He's tough. So Maya, we were talking about her earlier. Mm-hmm. She plays at Millard North. And he has this irrational sense of confidence. And so, we go watch your games and stuff, and he would always say, I'm better than such and such and such and such on your team. And meanwhile, these girls are like, darn near all Metro, certainly all district caliber. Right. He's, 7 years younger. But she would take him up to Millard North during the summer, and he would shoot with those guys, or gals. And so finally he would just start playing them all one by one, and he would keep track of his hit list. He'd say, Megan beat me today, or, she took 2 out of 3, but I'll get her tomorrow and stuff like that. So he has, like, a total irrational sense of confidence.
Yeah. So he's got great confidence. He's got the drive to be the best, which is exactly
and Caleb has been a good target because he's heard for over half his life people talk about his older brother.
He's got his enemies. Yeah. But he also supports God the Father after every video.
Actually, yeah. He'll tell you about the gospel and then tell you about humility as well, right?
And he'll talk about completely destroying individuals on this earth, and then he'll be like, "But hey, all praise to God."
Yep. And he and Caleb are total opposites.
Damn right, yes. I am embarrassed.
And Micah will talk to his food.
So he sounds like me. Just talk to a wall.
Yeah, it's. And they were raised relatively the same. Just not sure what happened, but
remember, we had a conversation on how you play favorites. So,
yeah, well, it's in the moment. It's moment to moment.
Now let's dial back in. If you had to pick only one streaming service to use, what would it be? You only can pick one. Just YouTube. I guess, YouTube TV.
Damn right, yes. I am embarrassed.
So I have YouTube TV. I obviously have ESPN. I have the $4.99 version of Hulu. So it's only
the ads.
So it's only something. But I've almost never gone back to Hulu. It's
I
out
use
there.
Hulu for TV shows that I can't watch anymore.
So I obviously have Disney associated with that, and I have Netflix.
And Netflix is getting so expensive.
Amazon Prime. So what was the number?
You probably spend $260 just on all of these services.
It's about $129.
Yeah,
with everything. But I did up my Wi-Fi by $20-some a month. So I factored that in, but I'm still winning.
Ashley and I did the same thing
by close to $100 a month.
And I'm a gamer, so we need the fastest Wi-Fi.
Are you really?
Yeah, I love to game.
That is unbelievable. I would not have guessed that about you.
Yeah. What game do you think I love to play the most?
You and Terrence Crawford, probably Call of Duty.
Close. It's actually the children's version of Call of Duty.
What is that?
Fortnite.
Oh my gosh.
I am a huge Fortnite fan.
I am not surprised.
Huge.
No?
No.
I am.
Also, I'm a child. Fall Guys. Peep Fall Guys. Chris Gorman in the room. Fall Guys. Have you ever seen that game? It's these little blobs, and it takes zero skill, and that's the best part about the game is you just can't die 30 seconds in.
No, I like
whatever the hell it is.
I know 2K. I know Madden.
See, I
know
play
MLB.
all of those too.
That's it. I don't like the role-playing games, and is that what you call them?
I'm not playing OnlyFans.
Wait, pardon? Is there a monthly subscription for that?
Is that a part of the 129?
No, that is not included. That is not included.
No, I'm not doing Sims or anything.
I don't even know what that is.
You don't remember the Sims? It was.
Is that the neighborhood game where you build there's people in your neighborhood?
No, the Sims. Was it? I thought it was just you were a person and you built a lifestyle. Just.
It can be that. There's different Sims.
Is there?
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's Sims Trains, there's Sims City, there's Sims People where you build, there's Sims Amusement Park.
See,
there are all sorts of things.
I do play the childish games, but I also play the 2Ks, the Maddens. I love playing, my player, creating a player.
Yeah.
I love doing
that guy?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, you can come over anytime. A lot of times, if it's like last night, I forgot to close the garage, so just come on over.
Just come in. Do you have neighbors that call and say, hey, your garage is open?
Well, apparently not, because nobody told me until this morning.
Nobody told you. So my mom is always the last to go to bed. Always.
Really?
And she will look outside and make sure everything is checked, doors are locked, garage is closed. And she will inspect the other houses in view.
Oh, that's nice.
And there was a house
where
one time.
Where was she last night?
In St. Louis. Yeah,
Yeah.
She just wasn't walking around.
Literally,
with,
my garage wide the heck open.
and that's the worst because you lock your doors for one, yes, but there's expensive
Yeah,
things in your garage.
And my garage door that enters the house is not locked.
You're kidding. You don't lock that before you go to bed?
Well,
No big deal.
full disclosure, I moved the handle to a different height, so it doesn't even have a lock on it.
So what you're saying is Shane can't reach it, but a normal person could.
And that's
So it's
totally on me.
It's totally on Doc Sadler. Yeah.
Well, yeah, if my mom was walking around and saw that, yeah, she would have called you. Now, she did that with a neighbor one time, and they were, like, in a panic because it was 2:30 in the morning when she went to bed, and she's calling their house. And they're like, she's saying, yeah, your garage is open.
Speaking of weird late night phone calls, did I tell you that my son called at 3:20 in the morning from downstairs to tell me he couldn't find the medicine?
Nobody
called
can
you,
do
He
that.
didn't, like, go and, like, touch you on your shoulder.
No.
Dad.
No, he texted twice, 3:18, 3:19,
And then called you.
and called me roughly 3:20.
And this was just probably because his collarbone was bothering him?
2 nights ago. No, he's under the weather
Oh, okay.
and could not find the decongestant and the Sudafed.
You know, I got to be honest. I've been in his shoes, but I've never called. I
Listen,
would go up into my parents' room and say,
my 4-year-old would be more self-sufficient than that.
your 4-year-old would just make do with what she found.
Yeah,
Sure.
she'd tell me about it in the morning. Well, you didn't get up, so this is what I had to do, Dad.
Yeah.
No, he called. So we ended up
So-
talking for like 10 minutes.
So this is Caleb, not
Yeah.
okay. So
Yeah, total
Caleb,
Power
what,
5.
17-year-old
Yes.
kid.
Yeah.
In 2 years, he's going to be off on his own.
I'm just the guy that you guys call.
Do you think he will call you and say, like, hey, Dad, like, where do I go pick up medicine like this?
He may.
Do you think that's who he is?
Yes.
You don't think he could resort to knowing that
So,
Walgreens or CVS has it?
Some things he's really, really independent about. Others, it's traumatizing. Seriously.
This is oh gosh, this is so funny.
That's so true. I'm telling you, like,
You have a great spread. You have a charcuterie board of kids.
I do. A wide gamut.
Like one's the cracker, one's the cheese,
Totally.
and one's the meat.
Totally. Now, there are some overlapping traits, but for the most part, they are vastly different. Zoe, my 4-year-old, is a lot like Micah, my 12-year-old. Similar creativity. Doesn't quite have his confidence yet. But they think a lot alike. Very higher level question asking, multi-sentence users.
Like big words.
Yeah.
See,
Zoe says
I'm
things.
not much of a big word guy.
So I'm on my way home from practice last night because I coach both the boys. She calls to tell me she needs me to go to Target.
Your 4-year-old.
Calls. Okay? Calls.
Okay.
Dad? She had just gone trunk-or-treating. And apparently the red dye in her hair, she was a vampiress, or whatever you call the female version.
Sure.
And I could barely understand her. And she says, well, I have teeth in my mouth. So apparently she had...
Oh,
been
the plastic vampire teeth.
She asked me if I could go to Target and bring it to school this morning because the dye washes out. But she thinks since Target has everything, that Target would have her red dye for her hair.
And did they?
You think I went? I was like...
You would sell your soul for your daughter. So
I would.
Stop
and
it.
And I thought about it. But
Are you guys going?
we had a lot to do this morning here, and so I figured
Do
she's
you
going to be at
think I
school all day.
went?
Yeah.
Wait, she called this morning? This wasn't
No,
last night?
this is last night.
And you just didn't want to go?
Well, she said this morning to bring it to school.
Right.
I got time.
Meet me at the
I have
rim.
to head east at some point if she's still. Do you know what she did the other day? It's a true story. So Wednesday, her school calls, which is directly in the same parking lot as Westside. There's this church, and they have.
I know exactly
They have
what
a
you're
s- they
talking
have
about.
school.
Yep.
So the the providers call Jay and say that Zoe is complaining about dry hands. Could she bring some lotion over to Zoe for school? Yeah. That's
Your daughter,
proud parenting moment.
your daughter she's the Napoleon Dynamite of her school.
That's
Can you bring my chapstick?
She's in the middle of the field while I'm coaching, like not a care in the world.
No. Give her a headset.
Yeah. Well, she thinks that she should probably have one. Just ask her.
Let's get into a Husker football preview now that we just got completely off topic here. How has prep work been going for you?
I feel good, right?
You feel good about this team and their chance?
I do. Papio isn't a normal 16 seed.
I meant Husker football.
Oh,
but,
Huskers?
Yeah. But we can talk about high school first.
No, I actually feel better. I feel better about Nebraska tomorrow than I would say Joe Public probably does.
Andrew Public.
At some point, Nebraska's got to have one of those games in them where they win one they're not supposed to.
It's kind of how it always works with this team.
People didn't feel really good about Purdue, and Nebraska found a way to hang in there, and they're close. And I'll tell you, just from being around those guys this week a little bit, they're supremely confident. So they're not short on belief. And they've got a couple guys
well, when
back.
you put up 37 points and you compete against Purdue,
Yeah,
I would be shocked if they didn't believe in themselves.
But they are going against a significantly better defense, especially on the back end. Now, I don't think Illinois is one of those teams that is dynamic in the secondary, but they do have a couple good players in Meriwether, and who's going to be a challenge. Look for the 21 versus 3 matchup. I said Meriwether. I think it's Whitfield.
What if they shut down Trey Palmer? What happens next?
So they'll move around. Nebraska's got some options. Vokalek is back healthy. I think you'll see Tommy Hill.
Do you think Marcus Washington has a big
have
game?
a little bit of an impact? Marcus Washington can move around. They'll move Marcus Washington because I think Tommy Hill's going to play some X, which is fairly simplistic a little bit in terms of what to do. Simplistic, not easy. Right, there's difference.
A distinct difference there.
So I think you can move Washington around a little, but it'll be interesting.
Now, what has to go right for Nebraska to win this game? Everything.
So I think
everything. All 3 phases.
This isn't Herculean now. I mean, this isn't Michigan or Ohio State. So it's not a
You still need everything to work, though.
Well, I think you go +1 or +2 in the turnover battle. Illinois will put it on the carpet a little bit for you, and you win special teams. You're right there without anything crazy needing to happen.
I don't think you win defensively in this game.
No, and Nebraska can't win. I don't think scoring less than 28. So I think they need. I think 28-27 is the barometer to be in this one down the stretch with a chance to win. But I will tell you, there's 2 things that I think Nebraska understands really well. Number one, defensively, Illinois plays a lot of man-free, a lot of man-to-man with a free safety, and I think that's what you're going to get. Not real fancy. They'll bring +2 pressures, and they'll man up with a free on the back end. So that won't be confusing. And so I think Whipple, with some time to scheme, can maybe draw some things up. Now, how committed to the run will he be? Not sure, right? That's part of the Benning bites, right? How committed to the run? Because I don't think you want to get into a back and forth.
You don't want to try to play catch up with Chase Brown. You don't want to try to be the team that's like, oh, we can top Chase Brown.
He doesn't rush for 1,059 because he's not good and they don't have good schemes. Now the other thing is offensively for Illinois, it's a lot of gap, it's a lot of counter. So it's not real fancy there either. Now they'll arrive at it a couple of different ways. Sometimes it's out of double tight, sometimes it's with one tight end. But I really think you can't allow a guy like Isaiah Williams to get busy. He was a thorn in the side of Nebraska a year ago. It's kind of his coming out party as a converted skill guy. you have to keep it about Illinois' run game tomorrow to give Nebraska a legit chance.
Well, and Tommy DeVito is
been very
patient.
efficient.
He's
Been
patient, efficient, and he doesn't turn the ball over.
And a lot of it is the system they run. It's a lot of RPO. So you get to 70% completion percentage because they don't chunk you vertically. It's a lot of quick game. It's a lot of RPO, and they run after the catch.
I just think with the holes that Nebraska has defensively, Nick Henrich out for the year. You get Reimer back, which is a big deal. But, I mean, you're losing a big leader on defense here, somebody that was very good about involving himself in every single play. It's going to be tough for them to really bear down in the trenches and hold strong at the line and avoid Chase Brown from getting going, right? Getting those feet moving. Brown leads the nation, as you said, in rushing yards this season, and 619 of those yards come after contact.
Yeah,
and that's important to remember because Nebraska is not the best at tackling initially.
Yeah, so I think – and kind of how Nebraska prepped this week, a lot of it is tackling in space and playing cutback lanes, right? Being good at the point of attack on what I would call the front side or play side and being sound on the back side. Tomorrow is not a game for hero ball because when you get gap scheme, in essence, it is looking for gaps. And Illinois runs it perhaps as well as anybody in the country, and so Nebraska is going to have to be gap sound. Most of that has to happen on the backside. Pay really, really close attention to any sort of cutback runs or secondary running lane runs for Brown tomorrow because he's very, very good at finding those creases.
You said sound, and it doesn't make sense with my next example, but I'm going to use it here because Memorial Stadium needs to be loud on Saturday.
Right there.
You have to, as fans this weekend, insert yourself into the game. Make Illinois know where you're playing.
Yeah.
Because Memorial Stadium, there's a sellout streak for a reason.
As Nebraska fans will tell you, the real Memorial Stadium, not the one in Champaign or the one in Lawrence. It has to – Nebraska's never going to turn the corner until the friendly confines of Memorial Stadium in Lincoln, Nebraska get back to being not so friendly for opponents, right? Like that's really the key. And it's the programs that historically you have typically been better than where you have to start to make some hay. You can't continue to play 500 or have losing records against programs that – over the last 20 years haven't been better than you. And until Nebraska starts to win those games at home, you and I will be having these conversations.
And don't lose hope either. This is a team that has succeeded at scoring points in the second half. So whether the game is, I don't want to be a negative Nancy, but if it's 17-0 at halftime in favor of Illinois, don't lose hope that Nebraska can't make this a football game in the second half.
Yeah,
it may be too late to win the game if you are down 17 points at halftime, but this is a team that does know how to score and play until the final whistle.
Yeah, the game within the game is what happens inside the red zone. Illinois, not real proficient in scoring inside the red zone, but
they are the second-best
extremely
red zone
good
defense.
defensively
Right.
inside the red zone, meaning opponents – for every 10 times that they're in the red zone, they get turned away a little over 7 times, right? Opponents are only scoring touchdowns 27%
So hard to believe.
of the time against
Touchdown, Nebraska!
So that's what I think
They're putting
Nebraska,
themselves up in conversations with the Michigan defenses of the world and the Ohio States and the Georgias and the Bama. And
with those condensed sets and Illinois playing so much man-to-man, not a lot of room down there, so you have to be able to win. You got to have some man beaters, and you have to be able to run the football. And Illinois has been very good defensively inside the red zone.
What's your score prediction for this game?
I've gone back and forth.
Do you think Nebraska at least covers?
Yeah, it'll be close. You'll be sweating this one out. I like Illinois 28, Nebraska 21.
And by all means, this is not what, of course, we're rooting for, right?
Oh, yeah. No,
like,
I mean, people
no question,
know,
and people know that. However, I do think this is a 10 to 14-point win for Illinois.
Yeah.
I just think they're so strong offensively this year because of how good Chase Brown is, and defensively they're just unmatched.
Yeah, and I'm on the opposite end of the spectrum. I think if Nebraska goes +1, just +1,
Wow.
they could win the football game. And
Touchdown!
That'd be a pick six, right? Or a blocked punt?
It wouldn't surprise me. And, hey, they blocked in consecutive weeks. They blocked a punt. Can they go
they
get
can do
another
it. Special teams has been great.
And will Tommy Hill finally get one? I'd like him in the return game. I'm telling you, Andrew, he's good. He's
scoring this week?
He is highly skilled in the return game. Can Nebraska steal one in special teams and get a quick 6?
I'd love to see it. I really would. I'm excited to see.
Wouldn't shock me. I would be more surprised if Illinois blew Nebraska out than if Nebraska won.
Really?
Dead dog serious. This team believes. I'm telling you.
Heard it from the man right here. Now let's move on to high school football. Playoff time. The brackets are out. They've been released all week. You know where you're playing. If you're a high school team out there, this is the best time of year for you. All of that regular season hard work has paid off. In regards to Westside this week, DB, a 1 seed against a 16, how do you tell your guys to not underestimate your opponent?
Well, look no further than last year when Omaha North made a run as a 16 and made it to the semifinals. So we understand full well what's capable. And I've said it all week, and I think film showed it on Saturday, when we were trying to game plan. For Papillion, this isn't a normal 16 seed. They beat Lincoln Southwest, who is a 7 or an 8, I should say. They have the 8-9 with Millard West.
Plus the
earlier in
school's
the
right
season.
down the road.
Yes.
So there's
and it's a well-coached team. Tim Williams does a good job with those guys. They do a good job with their strength and conditioning program. And they're playing some young guys. So we'll see if they're inexperienced or they're too young to know that they're 16 and they play with this reckless abandon. So we expect some sort of – I don't think they have to pull out all the stops, but we're expecting some sort of trick play or two. We just have to be on our game. Quarterbacks are a very good ball handler. They're very good with their simplified run scheme. So we got to make some plays. And we have yet to play our best ball, so I think that's super competitive for us.
Whoa. I love that.
I
love that.
Not even.
I know, but that's something that people need to realize.
Yeah, we have not hit on all cylinders yet, and I think we have it in us. And I think our team is fairly excited, knowing if we can extend the season a couple weeks, we have a chance to get back a guy that's chomping at the bit to play.
Westside
It's exciting.
dangerous because of what happened last year.
Very much
in
so.
the state champ. I'm sure that's still a salty taste in the mouth.
It is, and I think when you got out tough the way that we did, and it got down to the end of the season and we lost to a team that was more physical than we were, the level of physicality in which we've tried to ramp up getting ready for the second part of the season has been a driving force.
Now, don't be biased here. Give me 3 names, any class, that people should watch out for that will be difference makers for their schools.
I'll start with Aurora, right down the road, about an hour 45 away. Carlos Collazo, a fantastic running back.
People are talking a lot about him.
So even in the state championship game last year where they were trailing, upwards of 17 to 21 points, he still outrushed Dylan Mostick from Bennington, who's a fantastic running back in his own right. So Carlos Collazo, I think, is a name that people should keep an eye on. Ben Bramer from Pierce.
I love my Pierce guy.
Listen, he's
Northeast Iowa kid.
He's fantastic.
Huge,
and
too.
He's not a fake tough guy. He's a real tough guy.
We should get Mark on the show.
They can score. They have a very prolific offense, so keep an eye on Ben Bramer. And then I think this team's kind of a dark horse in A. They're kind of the forgotten team, but they're extremely talented off of Highway 75. Bellevue West is kind of laying in the cut. I don't know where they are emotionally, but physically they're pretty good. I keep an eye on Isaiah McMorris. He has had a fantastic season. He was one of the key transfers that happened coming over from Millard North. He and Danny Kaline, their quarterback, have had a pretty good rapport. He's playing opposite Davon Hall, who is a 4-star prospect in his own right. McMorris is a handful if you don't scheme correctly. So keep an eye on McMorris.
I like your Ben Bramer pick. Excuse me. Pierce, 3 straight appearances in the state championship game.
It's a great program.
Only 1 win in that time. And so
they've ran into some buzzsaws in the finals, but it's a fantastic football program.
Yeah. Now, if there are any first-round upsets, where do you think that comes? Well, we can even just stick in Class A, just so that you know your bracket, and you probably know your bracket like the back of your hand now.
I don't know if you call – so there's a couple of low seeds, 11, 12, 13. 11 is Prep. Mm-hmm. They travel to North Platte.
And I think their game against Gretna was like 3 points this year.
It's a very winnable game, and two teams that want to run the football. If Prep is healthy at running back, Marty Brown, they're still trying to feel their way along in the passing game. Prep going to North Platte and winning would not surprise me, although I can tell you from first-hand experience, North Platte is a miserable place to play. North Platte has a guy in Tilford at the running back spot who's going to SDSU who's a fantastic player. So you better figure out how to stop number one for North Platte.
Well, you know that too well this year.
That wouldn't surprise me, right? Millard South, the 12, going to Kearney.
This
the 5.
5-12 matchup, if you had any comparison, it reminds me of like 5th-ranked Georgetown taking on 12th-ranked Belmont. Yeah. Everybody always talks about how Belmont's like, that's the team, and that's Millard South in this game.
Millard South is talented, right? They've only lost one game with Koziel at quarterback, and that was to us in overtime. It's a good football team. They're dangerous. Kearney's so well coached, and that's a miserable place to play. But I actually think that game's a toss-up, even though it's a 12-5. And the other one is a 13 going to a 4, trying to avenge a loss from just 2 weeks ago. Grand Island hosting Omaha North. Would not surprise me at all if Omaha North won that football game.
Now, last one here on the high school front, and then we'll wrap this thing up. DB, if you could have anybody, okay, whether it's a movie actor that is iconic or a former athlete or a coach, if you could have anybody give Westside the pregame speech tonight, who are you choosing?
I would probably take Alvin Mack from the program. If you've never seen the program,
I'm not.
Listen, this guy was the ultimate trash talker. And arguably, no disrespect to Shark LeVay, who was in Any Given Sunday, played by Lawrence Taylor. Alvin Mack was a guy that was pretty reckless. I would take Mack coming to give us our pregame tonight.
I think the obvious answer is Herb Brooks. What, Shane? What do you got?
Can I give one?
Yeah.
Give them nothing, but take from them everything.
He knows that that's my guy. 300 is in like my
Great
top
movie.
10 of
Great movie.
We
are Sparta.
This is Sparta.
Yeah, that was when my guy. You're carrying the heads of conquered kings, and you have the nerve to come to Sparta and ask for earth and water.
Spartans, tonight we dine in hell.
Yeah, one of the. So my favorite line in that movie. Remember, they were traveling to Hell's Gates, right, where they wanted to head them off, and they saw the tree of all the hanging bodies. And one of the pottery guys, who wasn't even a real warrior, was like, oh, my gosh, this is the Immortals. And Leonidas says, the Immortals? We'll put that name to the test. One of the greatest lines.
Was such a badass.
Oh, yeah, he's the man. I'm a big Gerard Butler guy.
Really?
Yeah. I even liked him as kind of the antagonist, kind of bad guy in Law Abiding Citizen. Have you ever
seen that?
Amazing
I am
movie.
so uncultured when
Me too.
it comes to
it's not my
movie and
jam.
TV.
I'm going to go ahead and admit that, but there's some
probably
things.
movies that I've seen that you're like never seen it, and it's going to be vice versa.
Yeah. Shane knows. I'm a lot of popular movies that I have not seen. But
Give them nothing.
Yeah. So two of my favorite movies are 300 and Gladiator.
I've seen Gladiator, so
Yeah.
at least
Are you not entertained?
Spaniard.
So Alvin Mack is giving Westside the pregame speech tonight.
Yeah.
Like I said, I think Herb Brooks is like the obvious how people think like, oh,
Well,
yeah,
we
give
get
me
a
him.
lot of the Philosoph already. Give me a good old-fashioned tough tail kicker. that's
I don't want Dave Aranda.
yeah. Give me Mac. He'll set the stage.
Man,
Surprised you didn't say like Foxy Moxie. Like, have you seen Varsity Blues?
I have, yeah.
So you're not a Moxon guy, or?
Well, when I mentioned Herb Brooks, is that what you're referring to? I mean, Herb Brooks is like Miracle on Ice, one of my favorite movies.
And he's
of all
a former
time.
Penn's coach, so you can't go wrong. I mean, just saying.
Just saying.
It all revolves around the Penguins.
Okay, yep, exactly. I guess it's
By the way,
TV's world. We're just living
by
in
the
it.
way, how'd it go in Nashville last night?
Shut up. I'm still wearing my shirt. I'm still wearing the shirt. So I was playing.
Well, you got off to such a blazing start. You figured you were going to be good.
Did he do
I
it?
don't figure we're going to be good. We are going to be good. Bennington wasn't in net.
Yeah.
Bennington wasn't in net.
You have a love-hate relationship with him, don't you?
No.
Do you like Jordan?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm just double-checking.
You are factoring me into the fan base of
Yeah,
St. Louis.
that-
that
I
was
am.
going
I
back
am.
and forth.
I
with,
am.
Oh, no, Bennington, he won us a Stanley Cup, so, oh, no, we got to go to Billy Husso now
Yeah.
because Bennington just can't save the puck.
Well,
Don't get me wrong.
Just
Billy
wait till I
Husso
get-
was playing better a good portion of last season, but you don't just turn from Jordan Bennington.
Well,
you
I
don't
mean,
just
hey,
turn
listen,
away.
just make sure if a guy's been sitting on playoffs, bring him back in an elimination game. That'll give you a good chance to
Hey,
win. Hey, I know you haven't played all playoffs, but what do you think?
what do you think? Should I come in? Do I look nervous for this season?
Am I nervous?
Do I look nervous?
Am I nervous?
Yes, they did get squashed last night, 5-2.
Yeah.
6-2.
After being up
6-2?
2-1
5-2?
early.
I can't remember because
And
once
you gave up 4 unanswered.
Joe Hansen, yes, yes, we did. Once Joe Hansen put that fourth goal in, I'm just like, well, okay, that's it.
Ball game.
I think there were like 6 minutes left. Not to say that I turned off the game, but at that point, you basically shut down.
Turned off the
inside the brain. Yeah. I don't know who I do. Rudy? Rudy give the speech? Maybe
No.
Rudy. Come on.
No.
Come on.
Oh, Dan Devine? No way.
No way. All right. So I'm looking forward to seeing Alvin tonight over at Westside.
Yeah. Wait till you see our entrance.
That's actually what I'm looking forward to.
Yeah.
Shane kind of hit a drop already, a little Westside story for us, but I'm excited to actually see it in person.
The best part is like when they cut into the purge. Too. You hear like the siren sound.
The beer bottles.
A lot of teams don't want to take the field until after our entrance.
Well, yeah, because they don't want to watch it.
It's kind of cool though. I'd watch it if I was a coach.
Go out there and watch
All bias aside.
There's your Husker preview, your high school football preview for tonight's football games. We'll be back on Monday. We'll give a recap of how the weekend went and follow us wherever you get your sports information. DB on Twitter at Damon Benning, myself at Andrew Rogers TV or at Hurrdat Sports for all things sports content this weekend. You just never know what you'll get on this show.
Never know.
You'll never know.
Box of chocolates.
We literally talked about your family for the first 25 minutes.
I don't even know how that happened.
Now, go on and get on with your day. Good luck to all those high school teams out there tonight and during the playoffs. We'll see you Monday.
See you later!